Single family is okay, but I have always been fascinated by apartments, always been wanting to get into that. And your program is amazing. I can't believe how much information there is there, and all those video and all that stuff. It's just fantastic. I'm just absorbing it all like a sponge. And so
Yeah, so Eli, just give us a little background on yourself, what brought you to us, and maybe some of your maybe goals and aspirations.
Yeah, certainly. I grew up in St. Louis, Missouri. Um, my dad was involved in a bunch of single family flips and holds. Had some great years, had some not such great years. And I was trying to figure out a path forward for myself that would have a sustainable but somewhat passive income. And I kind of felt that multifamily would be the way to go. I was kind of actually looking for a template to help me figure out how to analyze deals, and that's how I found you. I saw a bunch of people mentioned your name on Bigger Pockets, so I kind of downloaded that, and then I realized I needed to learn more. So then we took it to the next step, and I'm really happy that I made that choice. So we're looking forward to learning more and going about this. I'm located now in Israel, actually. My wife and I have been here for a couple of years. I've been studying over here, and we go back to the States often. We'll probably be here for another year or so, and then we'll move back to America. But I'm trying to do as much as I can remotely, and then I'm happy to fly in when need be. I am on the beginner side of things. I've been crunching numbers for a while, but after going through a lot of just the training videos, I see that there's a whole new world to this that I got to kind of like let seep in and be a kind of a new way of thinking. So I'm along for the ride, and I'm happy to learn anything I can.
Interesting. That was cool. Well, welcome. Bob, how about you? Background on yourself.
yeah, well, I am by training, I'm a licensed architect and a licensed general contractor. And been doing that for 48 years. So
Is that all?
that's all. Yeah, just got into it, just got started. And I've always been interested in apartments, always have, because when I started doing, I transitioned from designing and building for my clients to say, hey, it's time to do it for me. And so made that transition about 8 years ago. My wife is a realtor with EXP Realty. And so what we started out with was single family. We've been doing a lot of flips, and we have some buy and holds. We got rentals in other parts of the country, in Vegas and Ohio, and working on a project in Tulsa. And so single family is okay, but I have always been fascinated by apartments, always been wanting to get into that. And kind of where I started was with Lance Edwards. I heard about him and got into, I actually joined the group, but it was like just dipping my toes into, he really, they just kind of skimmed the surface. Your program is amazing. I can't believe how much information there is there, and all those video and all that stuff. It's just fantastic. I'm just absorbing it all like a sponge. And so been really flying through it. I'm working with Garrett, and I'm working on my deal, sample deal package right now. And so yeah, I just can't wait to get really rolling, get certified, and start, because I've talked to brokers. I got brokers sending me deals all the time already.
Yeah.
And just a matter of putting my team together and getting my funding. That's like everybody, that's the biggest deal in my situation. But yeah, no, it's really, I'm so cool. Happy that I found you guys. Found you in the group. It's just perfect.
Well, that's cool. I want you all to kind of think about several things, but one of them is, if there's anyone that we should talk to, we'd love to have a conversation. So seriously, like maybe someone who's flipped houses or as rentals or anything like that, who we should talk to. We'd love an intro for that. Sometimes I think we're one of the best kept secrets, and I'd like to change that a little bit.
Yeah, you are. Because when I did come across you, I said I had never heard of Michael Blanc, and so much information is here. It's so well done. I was amazed I didn't hear about you. And
awesome.
Yeah, I'll second that. I really found the format and all the information to be very much what I've been looking for. Kind of all the YouTubing and Googling has only got me so far. There were so many different questions that I needed to like fill in and not have anyone to ask. And I'm really happy that I took that step forward, and it's really been great. So thank you for that. It really is an excellent program.
Okay, cool. Thanks for that. And so what we wanted, since this is your first call, there's really no kind of commitments that you've had. So the idea is there anything that you want to commit to over the next 30 days? And kind of we're kind of going down more in the sheet. And ideally, what we want to do is we want to update that before the meeting. And Eli, you already did that. The idea is before the meeting, we go in and we update it and we put something else on the board. So let's just kind of do that together. Eli, you said, get better and quicker at analyzing deals, create my sample deal package, and build my team. So that's a good start. Because we're dealing with a relatively short time frame, we want to make those goals SMART. Have you ever heard of SMART goals?
Mhm.
Yes?
Yeah,
Eli,
I
you
guess
want to
they
talk about?
work smarter, not harder.
Yeah, that's actually an acronym. Okay. So
Yeah.
it's SMART goals is specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-based, right?
Mhm.
So in other words, at the end of the day, you want to be able to say, did I do it or not? And not only did I do it, but did I do it with quality, right? Because you can check something off and it sucked. And so yeah, you can say you've done it, but it really wasn't with quality. Anyway, so we want to work on your goals a little bit. For example, create my sample deal package. That's not a bad one because you can say it's done or it's not done. On the other hand, build my team, you can argue there are degrees of building your team, right? It's not something you can say build my team is an activity, but it's not really an outcome, or it is an outcome, but it's not specific enough. So can you say what specifically with regards to the outcome is to have your team built, but you got to define, well, who do you want on your team? Is it one member? Is it 10 different? Like, how deep are you going to go? So over the next 30 days, can you be a little more specific about what you want to do in that regard?
Yeah, for sure. I just don't want to, outpace myself or get too ahead of myself in terms of where I'm supposed to be holding at what point. Definitely putting a lot of hours in. Is that something that I should be able to achieve within the next 30 days, or is there going to be or more work, more practicing
Well,
before?
it depends on where you are in the process. What I'm suggesting is, like I said,
Right.
there's potentially 10 members on your team, right?
Got it.
Property manager, lender, SEC attorney, CPA, partners, advisors, like how,
Mhm.
how deep do you want to go? Right.
Right.
So normally we teach that there's really two people you want on your team as soon as possible. That's your property manager and your lender.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Uh,
So and so here's the thing, and at the end, it doesn't, you don't even need a goal right now that says to have my property manager finalized on my team, because what does that mean, finalized on your team? They're not going to sign an agreement. I am now on your team, right? So it's really more in the beginning in all these goals. They're not so much outcome based. They're more activity based, which is frustrating for a lot of type A's, okay, like me, because we want results. We want a deal, right? But you don't control all the variables. You getting a deal done by the end of the year is not a SMART goal. It sounds smart, but it doesn't, the A part it may or may not be achievable. So what I mean by that is, and even the time-based one, because you add the time base to it, there's too many variables you can't control. So in other words, that's a bad SMART goal. It's a good outcome, but it's a bad SMART goal. Instead, what we do instead is we commit to the activities that lead to the outcome. So the two activities that lead to the outcome is analyzing deals and making offers and speaking to investors. And you can talk about, under capital raising, talking to capital raisers, let's say. Okay. So all you're doing at one point, once you set all this stuff up, which you'll have done in 60 days, right? Those activities lead you to the ultimate outcome, which is a deal. Now you can't control the time of your deal. It might be tomorrow. You could call your property manager, what's his name? Scott Hermes, whatever his name is. He was building his team. Property manager said, oh, my owner wants to sell. And within 3 months, he had his first deal closed. Like, it could happen like that. But what if it takes longer, right? What if it takes longer? So in other words, commit to the activities that lead to the desired outcome. So you can have an activity where I'm going to analyze 5 deals a week. Okay, that's a goal. That's a SMART goal. You can say it's smart all along. It's all those things, and you can control it. If you bust your ass, you can control that goal.
Right.
Similarly, you can say, I'm going to reach out to, I'll make it up, 5 investors, potential investors a week, so that I can have one conversation. Now, you don't control the latter part. It's an intent. I want to have one conversation, but you can control reaching out to 5 investors. So I like setting SMART goals. I'm going to do this thing so that I can. That allows me to. But you're really focused on the first part of that goal. I'm going to analyze 5 deals so that I can make an offer so that I get my deal done. That reminds us about the intent versus the actual goal that you control. The intent is there, but you don't control that intent. It's just there. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's really good.
So with regards to building a team, it's the same thing. I'm going to have my proper manager in place by the end of the month. Well, how do you know? What if they're too busy? They don't return your phone call. They don't like you, right? You can't control them going, yes, Eli, I'm going to be your property manager, right? And also it's a progression. They're not going to say, yes, I am the guy or gal for you. They might simply agree to something else, like take a look at a property for you. Okay, well, so what is it that you can control? You can control your own actions. You don't necessarily control the other person's actions. Well, you don't control them at all. You can certainly influence them. So what is the action with regards to building a team? What thing can you control? And that becomes your goal. So what would be a good action there?
To reach out to several property managers.
Okay. Several.
Yeah, that's a little bit big.
Well, how many? How many do you want to read? And then you got 30 days. Remember, you got to build a list. So how are you going to build a list, right? You got to build a list enough to call them. So you're going to have to research it. You maybe have to talk to some people. So first you need a target list, and before you can actually call them. So that even comes before that.
Right. Yeah, that's true. So I would call someone that I'm familiar with that's been doing multifamily in the area in St. Louis, in that area. And I'll ask him for any recommendations for some property managers. That's something that I could do. I could reach out to him, ask him what he's heard about and who he thinks I can reach out to. Maybe check that by another person that's been also involved in multifamilies, and see what they have to say about those names, or if they have any other ideas, and then reach out to 3 of those property managers. And
now you're thinking.
Now
you're starting to think. Exactly. I think now you're getting it. So for a 30-day time frame, you might say, I want to have reached out to 10 property managers and have had 2 conversations or something like that. Now, so that's your 30-day goal, but you're going to probably want weekly goals getting there. Like you just described, you just kind of broke it down. So for yourself, you probably want to have a weekly goal and then have daily goals. This week, I want to do X, Y, and Z. In order to achieve that goal, I got to spend 30 minutes today to do this, 30 minutes tomorrow to do that. And if I do those things, hopefully it'll lead me to this other goal for the week and puts you on track for 30 days.
Got that. Got it. So I guess that would go for the other 2 goals that I wrote in terms of getting better and quicker at analyzing deals. I'll analyze 10 deals this week, or I'll analyze 3 goals today, 10 deals this week.
Exactly. And by doing so, you're going to get better. So you could say, I'm going to analyze 3 deals this week so that I get better and quicker at analyzing deals. That's your intent.
Right. The intent is what will lead to the outcome.
That's right.
About the
so
outcome.
you can have the intent, the outcome, and the activity in some kind of order. I'm going to analyze 3 deals so that I get better at analyzing deals so that I ultimately can make an offer and get a deal done. If you couch your activity along those lines, which is not necessarily necessary for this, but you're welcome to do it. It reminds you of what you are doing and where it's leading towards. Why are you doing something? Because I have an intent and I have an ultimate outcome.
Great. I like that. So we'll adjust that.
Cool. So your homework is to go through these 3 goals again and replace them with something smarter. Let's give Bob a chance here. Bob, you didn't have a chance to put any goals in here yet, I don't think. That's okay.
It's actually I wrote something in. That right there, right here. And then down below, my name wasn't on the list, so I just kind of added to the end of that paragraph.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Do you have access to the sheet now?
I could, I think.
Yeah. Let's hop in there. And I noticed that, so I actually did.
You added it. Okay, good. You added it.
I added to the bottom there.
Yeah.
So I would just say, take some of these things you put in here.
It was just the last sentence in that paragraph that I.
No, you got a list of possible investors right there. So that's a goal. Soft commits, get my team together, finish my training, get certified. So so you're going to have a homework to break that out as well. Do you want to pick one of them, and we can do a similar goal exercise with you?
Sure. Yeah. Now, I know, well, I don't know, but should I get certified before I can really jump into this? 'Cause I mean, I'm ready to go, but I know that I have to get certain things completed on your end before I can actually jump into things. So, I guess right now the goal is to finish the weeks of, I've been jumping ahead though. I've been, well, I mean, not over things, but I've completed the 6 weeks, or completing the 6 week in about 2 weeks. So I'm really trying to fly through this thing.
There
And
you are.
so my question is, should I get certified and then start really focusing on this other stuff, or can I can overlap?
Well, you can certainly overlap, but the certification gets you started, right? It
Mhm.
makes you analyze certain number of deals, right? So if you analyze certain deals, that's certification. If you talk to a certain number of brokers, that's certification. If you are building and you have built your team, that's certification. The idea behind certification is that you have minimal skill sets and confidence to be ready to do a deal on your own.
Mhm.
That's the whole goal of it.
Gotcha.
And I prefer that you don't skip things, because you may be missing some things that will
Right.
help.
Right. Yeah. Have not been skipping. No, I just been.
Yeah, that's fine. So I
attack.
would say combine the two, but the activity that you already want to do to get a deal done is already part of certification. So what I'm saying is you might as well get credit for it. So if you're analyzing deals, upload the SDA and say, here's my first, here's my second, here's my third deal.
Oh.
And here's my 5 brokers I talked to. Check, 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 check. Done.
Okay. All right. Great. Yeah. No, I'm getting real comfortable with the SDA and the market tracker. And I've probably analyzed about at least 10 properties so far. And as they come in, I check them out. I say, does this make sense? And I look at it, and so I've been really using that thing.
All right, cool. So I'm gonna give you both create SMART goals for the next 30 days. All right, so I'm just gonna put this in here for both y'all. I don't know what you're putting in there, Eli. I'm just gonna do this as a placeholder. Why is this not blue? So that'll be both your and then if you don't mind, when can you have that done by? Because I don't want to wait 30 days for that. Like, I'd like an email in the next days.
Yeah. And when can I do this?
Yeah, create SMART goals for the next 30 days.
Oh, yeah. No, I can do that in the next couple of days. Next day.
So
Yeah.
by
Do that.
how about by end of week, end of day?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I like that, by end of day. All right.
Okay. All right.
And just send me an email.
Okay.
Okay, cool. So we got that. So you're gonna work on that. That's pretty cool. And then so the next seat is really the discussion, right? So what do you guys want to talk about? And I see Bob has you added some stuff in there. Eli, is there anything that you want to discuss? So what the idea is that we put it all on the board, and we kind of want to break these things out into different discussions. So is it more eventually? Okay, so you got 2. So let's break this out. And then what we do is we prioritize and then start discussing. So we got this.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and now, Bob, is there any, so we make a list, and either through, as you go through your positive check-in or your goals or anything like that, we want to add anything that you're stuck on or you're challenged by, and then we want to drop that down to discussion.
Gotcha.
So Eli, is there anything that you want to discuss with the group?
So I'm at the earlier stages of this process, but I just selected a market this week. And
You like to do what?
I'm at the earlier stages. I just selected a market this week.
Okay.
And I kind of did want to, check in with you regarding that. I put all the numbers in the market tracker. My question was in terms of deal flow, I selected St. Louis for the market, and there are a lot of different areas in St. Louis that are emptying out, and there are a lot of different areas which are going and building quicker. I'm just not seeing a lot of action happening in those areas. Is that something that, as I get more into talking to brokers, I'll be able to find those deals, or they'll send me, some opportunities, or should I be looking at a different market?
All right. Does that capture your question?
Yeah. It's
Right.
kind of like Loom AI right here.
Yeah. Anything else you want to talk about? The deal flow? Maybe something will come
I
up.
think that's where I'm at.
All right. Okay, so then we just prioritize. It's like, what do we want to talk about first? I say we do one of Bob's, and then Eli's, and then we'll go back to Bob. We can well, this one will be pretty quick because And then we can do this one here. This one pretty good, pretty quick, Bob, because I have no idea.
Okay.
I don't do opportunity zones, but that should not stop you. I mean, we have mentoring students basically take the principles that they learn of capital raising and underwriting, and they'll apply it for something slightly different. For example, they'll get into a mixed use commercial project.
Right.
Or something else. We had one guy convert a hotel into a multifamily, right? Now, I would talk you out of doing those things because these are advanced things, but I don't want to talk you out of these advanced things because the only reason it's advanced is because there's knowledge that needs to be gotten and you need extra team members to tackle that. On the other hand, it may open up an opportunity for you, right? So it's, for example, it's like I've done Section 8 subsidized housing. I don't really like it, but it can be very profitable. But you need a special property manager. There's some special considerations. Now, that should not stop you. We just have to recognize that the stuff that we teach is not going to, you need a specialty. It's a specialty. So you're going to have to get yourself some knowledge around opportunity zones. You might have to get a special attorney, a special person that knows opportunity zones. And it just understanding that's a little different, kind of like getting into student housing. It's still multifamily, but it's a specialty. You need some people on your team that specialize in that thing.
Gotcha. Yeah, because when I go through Crexy, searching for properties, that pops up a lot. And my old group that I was with, they wouldn't touch them, and I didn't understand why. And because I mean, everything is there, all the factors are there that you're looking for. So I wasn't sure why it was such a. So I just wanted to see if you even had an opinion about it, but I guess you don't. So okay, that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, typically I would say, hit one, get a base hit, down the middle of the lane before you start. But again, this other mentoring student just went right into converting a hotel to multifamily. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. But on the other hand, now in his mind, there's less competition because it's a little more advanced. Okay, fine, less competition. I think the risk is higher, but also the rewards are higher. The payoff can be much higher as well.
Yeah.
So if you're interested in it, I would take a look at it, run it down, and see where it goes.
Yeah. All right. Sounds good.
Cool. All right. So discussed. Ding. All right. Next. Okay. So deal flow. So if I understand you corrected, you selected St. Louis. You're not seeing a lot of action. What do you mean by you're not seeing a lot of action? You're not getting a lot of deals, or what? Or you're getting deals but they don't pencil, or what? What do you mean by not getting enough action?
Well, I haven't reached out to any brokers yet, but just on
that could be the problem, Eli.
Yeah. Well, I'm gotta walk before I start running, right? I don't want to burn any bridges yet, but I just from Crexy, the results of the past 12 months to 24 months and the size of the deals and the different deals that happen in the different neighborhoods and areas, I kind of see they're all happening, a majority are happening downtown or in certain areas that I wouldn't even get near, at least for the market, as per the market tracker. Like I wouldn't want to go to an area where I'm gambling on something happening, but using the metrics of the data that it's laid out in the market tracker, I would want to have population growth, job growth, median income. In those areas, I see only a handful of deals having been transacted in the last 12 months or 24 months even.
So you've gone into submarkets in St. Louis, so you're not just doing St. Louis as an MSA, you're actually analyzing submarkets? Yeah,
well, the metrics didn't really hit all the criterias on the market tracker, but having a little bit of inside knowledge, I know that there are certain areas that there isn't necessarily a lot of people moving in from out of state, but within the actual metropolitan area, a lot of people are moving from the east side to the west side.
See, that's great. I think that you've got a lot of great local knowledge.
And crime also, if you look at the city data, there's a crime index of 650, 700, but if you go to little submarkets, they're 100 or 130, but in those areas, I'm seeing that there's a lot of either a lot of competition or not so much deal flow.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, St. Louis is a relatively large area, but what you're saying is there's a good chunk of the market you wouldn't buy in.
Right.
Okay. All right. I would say at this point it's probably too early to tell, Eli. you probably picked St. Louis because you know the market well, and you did the market tracker and MSA, and it was kind of meh. It was kind of like average.
Yeah.
It probably wasn't red, but it wasn't bright green. It was kind of maybe sort of, again, the yellow phase. I don't mind yellow, right? I just don't want people fleeing the city, right? Because that's going to be a problem. But you know a lot about the local market, which is very much to your advantage. And also, when it's time for you to raise capital, you can say, I grew up there, I know this market. I mean, it really adds a lot of credibility to you. So I'm not surprised you picked that market. I would say it's too early to tell. I think you should just start working the brokers in that area and just generating deal flow. And when you feel like you've talked to every freaking broker in St. Louis and you're only getting like one deal like every other week, you know, then you're like, maybe I need to pick a second market. Shouldn't say you get out of St. Louis, but at that point you pick some other market, maybe geographically close or something.
Yeah.
And now you're in the two markets. A little more work because you got to potentially build a second team, talk to different set of brokers.
Right.
But you may have to do that. But it may not be necessary also. Because, yeah, it may not be. I'd say just get started. I think right now it's to your advantage.
Good. Okay. Yeah. Just kind of needed to have that confidence. I didn't want to, get to work, following all sorts of people and then changing markets right soon after.
I have a question that kind of hanging on to that thought, Eli. And I wanted to ask you guys, when you go in and you're talking to brokers, they're ready to make a sale. They want somebody to come in and get a deal going. And my question is, because I've been looking at Crexy, LoopNet, Showcase, there's all kinds of places where I've been looking for properties as far as what's listed. And so if I talk to a broker and he might have a deal and say, yeah, we got one right now, but I'm not ready. I don't have my team, I don't have my lenders, I don't have anything set up. So I really don't want to get all excited and go, oh, can't do it yet. I can't do it. So my question is, how deep dive do we get with the brokers at this point? Because we really can't perform.
So that's a great question, which is really why we want to get you certified first. You'll have your team ready. So that's number one. And you'll already have started speaking to potential investors and joint venture partners as well. So you're much closer, but you're right. You lose some credibility.
Right.
If you call a broker and get them all hot and heavy and goes, yeah, I'm not quite ready yet. They're going to go, oh, really?
Right.
Right. So this is why we use the idea of a throwaway market, where you call on brokers that you don't actually, in a market that you don't intend to buy in.
Okay. Yeah. Because, and I would imagine that's for practice to talk to brokers. And I have no problem talking to brokers. I mean, I've run my own business for 40 years. I can talk to anybody. So I don't really need that practice. I want to be able to perform, when it's to go, I got to go. So, so it's just a matter of taking the right steps. I just got to get beyond soft commitments and get to the point where I have a deal and I can get some hard commitments on the lenders. So okay.
Yeah. Good. All right. Anything else on that, Eli? All right, Bob, you're asking a question about all bills paid. How does all bills paid work? Does the PM literally pay all the tenants' utilities? How does that factor in the deal analysis? Is it more advantageous to have the tenants pay their own bills? Okay, that's a question, right?
Yeah.
Why are you asking such a specific question?
Well, I guess that's kind of spillover from the old group, because I was analyzing and we discussed that, and so I just wanted to see what you thought about it. So it's just in the analysis, I guess that's where I'm thinking. How would that fit into the analysis?
Yeah, you're asking a very tactical question. I'm happy to answer it, but I think your mentor or even the advisors in the SDA community can answer that. But I'll happy to answer it.
All right.
Is it more advantageous to have the tenants pay their own bills? In general, yes. So for example, the Section 8 building I'm talking about, I think it was all utilities included. And of course, when you're not paying the utilities, you're not watching dripping faucets. You're going to have the heat cranked up, and the window open in the middle of winter, because it doesn't matter. It's all included, right? Versus when you're paying your own bills, you're going to watch it, first of all.
Yep.
So there's no question that it's better for you, the landlord, to have the tenants pay their own bills. And I'm not saying you shouldn't get into a building. It's just disadvantaged because of the reasons I mentioned. And you'd have to kind of incentivize tenants to not waste your money, essentially.
Right.
But I don't love it. because you can put up incentives, but they at the end of the day, they're not going to care because they're just not going to watch their bills. If it's their own money, they'll definitely watch it.
You're right. Yeah. Okay.
You into chargebacks? Do you do that a lot?
All right, looks like I'm back.
Oh, you're good. Do you do chargebacks a lot for those utilities? Or
You can. I mean, you can do like chargebacks like rubs, right? Where where essentially the tenants pay their own utilities, but for some reason they're not separately metered, right? So there's a little physical hardware doesn't exist. You can go in there. These are older buildings, or you can go in there.
Yes, and I guess that could be, I mean, that affects the additional income line one way or the other. And so, yeah, that
Yeah. I mean, again, if you're doing rubs, you're probably getting into an older building, and you want to do that with caution as well, right? If it's not separately metered, it's probably built before whatever 1960 or 50 or something like that, and that can be tedious to deal with a building that old. So.
Okay.
in general, you like to stay away from all the buildings that old?
Yeah. I mean, we're at this point we're really trying hard not to buy anything before 1980, ideally not before 1990, because in general there's less appetite for these older assets by investors, also by buyers, right? Because what used to be 1980, 10 years ago, now we're in 2024. Like, oh my gosh, now 80s is like what it was 70s, which is old. Aging infrastructure, problems with electrical, plumbing, sewage, that kind of stuff. So it's just the older these properties are, the more things are unforeseen,
Sure.
And so
You see them being vacated more because of all the newer development, or I guess it probably depends on the area, but in general, if they're older.
that's right. Well, so the advantage of class, B minus C plus property is that they're not really competing with new stuff because they're more affordable. So that is a main advantage of some of these B minus C plus properties, is that they are insulated from any kind of construction. People who live in those they can't afford new stuff.
Right.
Interesting. I did have a question about working remotely. I know that I'm limited in what I can do, but I'm happy to come in. Are there times you'll go ahead on a deal without actually visiting the property, or that's like absolutely off limits?
So your question is how can you make progress remotely where you are?
Well, I can come in, and I would be happy and willing to do that, but yeah, I'm curious to know in terms of when you're looking at a property, will you rely on a property manager or a due diligence guy 100%, or you wouldn't never move forward without actually going yourself?
Well, no, when you have a live deal, you're definitely hopping on a plane, right? The question is what should you do before that? And the only time I would hop on a plane before it is to accelerate the relationship building with your team. That's worth it. So in other words, you build relationships a lot faster in person than you do over Zoom, right?
Right.
So what I would do is I would hit the phones hard, build up your team members, your potential team members, via Zoom, et cetera, and then kind of create your short list of property managers, short list of brokers for sure, and then go out there and spend 2 or 3 days in the market and meet with them, go out to dinner, lunch, breakfast, coffee, tour the properties. So that is very fruitful. That really accelerates the relationship building process. And then the second time you're going to be out there is basically for due diligence, typically, right? So assuming you don't put down a deposit hard, as soon as you get it written, as soon as you get it under contract, you're going to be on a plane kind of overseeing due diligence. And again, you're going to spend that time meeting with brokers and property managers and anyone local to the market. Look for that email. We'll maybe toss around a little bit more, and then we'll see you guys in a month.